Hello, government students. It's Mr. V again, and I'm here to talk to you today about one resource you can use in order to do your project for the political platform on our Google Classroom website. Now, of course, this is week 5 right now of online learning. You've had weeks 4 and 5 to do this, so many of you are an entire week behind, and some of you that are turning in this assignment are not doing it per the directions. So my job this week is to try and share different resources you can utilize with which to do the personal political platform project. Again, that's a lot of alliteration, but it is a pretty sizable project. It's 300 points. So let's make sure we understand exactly what we're doing with that. The personal political platform project is an assignment that requires you, number one, to come up with 20 different issues with which to take a stance on. And it's not just telling us what you personally believe on those issues, it's also bolstering that with factual evidence that you could use to say, here's what I believe, and more importantly, here's why I believe it, so that you can actually engage in an adult discourse with someone instead of just saying, well, that's what I believe, or that's what my mom told me, or any number of kind of immature arguments that unfortunately take the place of pretty mature discourse in our society. The first website I'm going to introduce to you today is procon.org. And as you can see by the page that I have up here, this is the main page, procon.org. It gives you the arguments on both sides of an issue. It is unbiased, so nonpartisan, which means it's not taking a side one way or the other. It's merely presenting the arguments on these issues, many of them very divisive as an issue, but they are presenting the information as best they can without trying to take you one way or the other. So again, as you can see up here, they're talking about reliable, nonpartisan, empowering. They're not really lying with that. They're telling you up front, these issues, we're trying to present both sides. So as you can see, when you get to the main website here, you have a more issues tab, you have an about us tab, join, watch our videos, or teacher's corner. Now, what we're worried about with this website, what we're going to use with this website is just the more issues tab, which you don't even need to click on because it's actually underneath this main page right here. So sure enough, they have their top resources, if you will, Trump and Biden on coronavirus. So how are Trump, the president, and Joe Biden, the Democratic challenger, approaching coronavirus, animal dissection, and the 2020 presidential election? Now, those three are not actually on our issues list from your political platform project sheet. But that doesn't matter. You can always go off script a little bit. What is predominantly on that list are the issues listed underneath here. So if you scroll just a little bit, you'll see, of course, the most popular ones, the ones that people are clicking on the most. And of course, illegal immigration is an issue on your list. Abortion is, drinking age, school uniforms are not, but could be. You absolutely can speak to reason on that one because you had a uniform dress code policy up until this year. The Electoral College, that was an issue we talked about in class. The death penalty, we also talked about that in class. Animal testing was not something that's on our list, but you can certainly utilize it. Homework has become a divisive issue because of the amount of homework being assigned by different schools. Certainly everybody's doing online schooling right now, and parents are getting a little upset and frustrated, as are students. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. Gun control has been an issue that we've talked about. Medical marijuana is one that is a very hot button issue across the United States. And of course, the election, they say it's a hot issue. Of course it is, because everybody's talking now that Biden has secured the Democratic nomination against Donald Trump. It is now, from now until November, for America to decide who they feel should be president for the next 4 years. So, of course, you can talk about that issue. Now, of course, they also divvy it up into different major categories. You have health and medicine, and of course, listed all here. You have educational issues. You have elections and presidents, science and technology, politics, the world and international, sex and gender, and entertainment and sports. Now, some of these, of course, are not really hot button issues. As much as, gay marriage certainly is. Should we legalize prostitution? That's not on your list, but again, could possibly be something you want to talk about. Under entertainment, social media certainly is a big deal. How social media is used, video games and violence, drug use in sports, all of those could be utilized. Golf, is it a sport? Let's steer clear of that one. No offense to the game of golf. I'm sure some people actually enjoy it very much, but that's not really a political issue per se. So what are we really focusing? We're focusing on whether or not these things are actually going to affect your daily life. So for example, under science and technology, if you click on net neutrality, some of you may not know what net neutrality is. Okay. Net neutrality at this point, what we're talking about at that point is net neutrality rules adopted in 2015 regulated the internet as a common carrier, the same category as telephone service under Title II of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. The FCC rules preventing internet service providers from blocking, slowing, prioritizing, or charging customers extra money to access certain websites. For example, under net neutrality rules, Verizon could not speed up access to website it owns, such as Yahoo and AOL, and could not slow down traffic or charge fees to other major websites like Google or YouTube. So what are they really talking about here? An internet carrier cannot speed up things to things they own to try and promote those websites to you. So for example, if they own Yahoo instead of Google, speeding up, like you get on your phone, you're dialing in and say I want to go to Yahoo, and Yahoo just comes up really fast, but you try and Google something and it takes forever to load. Over time, you don't even realize that you're actually going to YouTube, or I'm sorry, to Yahoo more than you are Google for a search engine, just because, well, one of them is faster. Net neutrality is saying they can't do that. They can't, adjust the speeds and bandwidth to make sure that you go to certain websites over others. Okay. Now, of course, some people are saying, hey, the free market allows them to do that. They own a website. They're allowed to say, hey, you can get to that one faster than you can the other one. So should net neutrality be restored? Okay. And of course, it's going through pro and con arguments about whether or not the FCC should get involved. And they give you 3 solid arguments here. And you will notice that, let's say you said, you know what, I'm going to be against it here. Net neutrality regulations are unnecessary because the internet developed amazingly well in their absence. You can read through this, and then you notice here it says, all right, they actually have a footnote, number 9, where this quote comes from. If I click on it, it goes and it says, Ajit Pai, oral statement on Chairman Ajit Pai. He's actually the guy in charge of the FCC. He's a guy that if you look up a picture, I promise you on this one, if you look up a picture of Ajit Pai there on Google image search, you will find that he's actually really proud, and for some god awful reason, really proud of a huge Reese's peanut butter cup coffee mug. He poses with it all the time. It's kind of what he's known for, which is sad because he's in charge of the Federal Communications Commission. That's another side note, but he's kind of a weird dude to say the least. Okay, but needless to say, he's been involved in this because he's the chairman of the FCC. And of course, if you're on the pro side and you say, you know what, I'm researching this one about Comcast should be charging extra fees to stream Netflix or Amazon, you can click on 21 here and say, all right, well, that comes from Steve Kovach. The FCC plans to repeal net neutrality this week, and it could ruin the internet. And it's from businessinsider.com. So you're citing your arguments. You're finding out exactly where your arguments are coming from and whether or not what you believe kind of meshes with some of the factual evidence that would bolster your argument. Okay. So again, you could look up things like net neutrality, learn a little bit more about what it is. And of course, by looking through these different things, you might find an issue that you absolutely do know about. Let's say it's abortion. Let's say you are pro-choice and you believe it's a woman's right to choose, okay? Or you're pro-life, where you think that a baby has the right to be born in this country, and abortion you might claim is murder or somehow not a preferred method of contraception. Whatever the case may be, when you talk about these different things, should abortion be legal? This is all the way stemming from a 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, the 7-2 decision in Roe v. Wade, and it tells you that right here on the website in the background information. Then, of course, it launches into con. Now, remember, on net neutrality, they had 3 arguments on the pro and con side. Abortion, because it's such a hot button issue and so loaded with information, it has way more than that. As you see, as I scroll through here, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different pro and con arguments. Okay, so you have a different amount there because people could possibly waffle back and forth. Some of you might be pro-choice, except you don't want it to be used as a method of contraception. You don't want people to use it as birth control. And then others might actually be, hey, I'm pro-life, except for things like incest or rape or things like that. So you might be one side, but kind of cave a little bit, and that's totally fine. You can use this website to bolster your argument as to why you believe what you believe, because it's going to be full of information on that issue. Okay. So again, we're kind of showing you that this website can be utilized to do almost all of your project, because if you look again, the issues that are listed on procon.org, there's at least 20 of the issues that Ficker and I provided to you in this list right here. Okay. And of course, up at the top here, it also says watch our videos. So if I click on that, it takes me to a video gallery where, yeah, they've got some procon.org in action. They're kind of showing you some critical thinking seminars and things. These are things you may not want to, get involved in, but you can also look at their featured videos here where they're talking about electronic voting machines. Do they improve the voting process? So if you walk in and instead of a paper ballot, you're actually on a computer screen clicking things, do those actually help? Well, instead of reading about it, you can watch a short little video, 3-minute video that kind of gives you the pros and cons of using these voting machines. You can look at milk. Is it healthy for humans? Should we be drinking milk, or should we say no to this substance? They're going to take you through that as well. Felon voting. Should somebody who has broken the law be able to still vote in elections? Okay. So again, these are issues that are confronting the American public right now. Procon.org gives you both sides. Okay, so as a resource, this is a very good one to utilize. This is something that you can certainly use to do this project and help you to do it. Now, to break it down again, remember, you have to do 20 separate issues. So slide 1 of your presentation should be your name and your title. Slides 2 through 21, to give you 20 total, 2 through 21 should be your issues. Each slide should have a visual. And of course, procon.org gives you the visuals too, as you notice. There are pictures on there as well. And of course, you're going to give me what you believe and why you believe it, showing me that you've actually read through and understood some of the factual information, the data, the Supreme Court decisions, whatever, that bolsters your specific argument on those issues. So there should be 20 total slides taking me through 20 different issues of what you believe and why you believe it with visuals. Then the 22nd slide should show me your political party. Are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Are you Libertarian, Green? Are you an independent? And telling me why you are, okay? Showing me that you looked at the websites and that you understood exactly why you stand in line with those specific political parties. And finally, who's your political hero? Who do you aspire to be like? They could be presidents, they could be Congress people, they could also be social reformers and people from history. Anybody that you feel you model in your own political belief structure. And feel free to tell me why. If you're a big believer in civil rights, then of course it would be a civil rights leader of some kind. If you're a big believer in, let's say, military spending, it should be somebody that has bolstered military spending. If you're a big believer in economics and a certain type of economics, let's say you're a big believer in trickle down economics, then Ronald Reagan might be somebody that you would rank as your personal hero. If you believe in welfare programs, then FDR or LBJ might be the president that you kind of promote as being somebody to look up to. Whatever the case may be, that's your 23rd and last slide for the presentation. Again, it's due next Monday. Okay, so you have all the way up until the 27th to get this done. You had last week, many of you kind of dragged your feet, so please make sure you get on this ASAP. A reminder, you still have your week 1 assignment open if you want to retake that quiz on historical documents. The air diagnostic tests, you can email Mr. Ficker and discuss an alternative plan to get those done. I've already taken them off my 4th bell, so if you have questions about that, you can email me directly. Week 3 was the ABCs project. That was just looking up 5 different articles, giving me 3 facts you got from those articles, and then writing a journal entry. Many of you forgot to do a journal entry, or you just didn't feel like doing it. Well, you got partial credit, or you got it returned. So please make sure that you make sure all of it is done before you submit. And of course, weeks 4 and 5, you have the political platform project that you got to get done by next Monday. If you're in Ficker's class, if you're in Bells 1, 6, and 7, then you also have his coronavirus assignment as well to get done. So please don't forget to get that done. Some of you are just doing one of them and not turning in the other. That's not how it works, guys. Let's make sure we're doing the right things. If you have any questions, you can email at all times. Ficker and I are on from 9 to noon every morning in office hours on Google Meet, so feel free to log in and talk to us then. We'd really like to just say hi and talk to you, especially if you have issues with this project. You know,